It's personal, it's authentic. It doesn't matter if it's well produced or polished. 90% profitability increases when you personalize content. Creating specific content that is going to be directly speaking to your audience. You want to make the experience as personal as possible. So I'm genuinely a big believer that personalization makes a huge difference. I think if you really think about even gifts you receive or how you interact with people, it always feels a bit nicer when you receive something personal, you receive something handwritten, something with your name on it. But when you come and think from a business perspective, so one of my first jobs was actually managing a video store. So back in the day, you remember video stores, rental stores, people, for those who may not know, for the younger people out there, once upon a time, we used to physically go to a video store, look through all the movies we liked, take a VHS tape, and you'd have to bring it back the next day and you'd be responsible for rewinding it. That was an important part of the process. But, when you work in a store like that, you see the same customers day in, day out, and you want to make the experience as personal as possible. And I remember it being a very manual process. Like we used to literally look at, the movie rentals people made, like what the genre of interest was, their frequency they came in. And often, like based on that data, would decide like, oh, let's give this customer a phone call and let them know that this movie is about to get released this weekend. It was a lot of work. It was a manual process, sifting, looking at records, making phone calls. It made a difference, which is why we did it. But thankfully, we don't need to do all that manual work anymore. We have Netflix, yeah. But on a serious note, if you look at, and a lot of what happens with Netflix or what happens with Apple TV or with any of them is that there's an AI component, there's a machine learning component where they're obviously learning our habits and our trends. And actually, just to bring that, my flatmate and I thankfully have 2 different logins to our Netflix, because if I happen to log in on hers, automatically, just by looking at the menu of movies, she watches a lot of Korean and a lot of, and suddenly I'm like in this Korean library, which clearly is not mine. But it goes to show it's a very customized, personalized experience based on, the habits that the machine has learned. So we actually see it everywhere in our day-to-day life, although we may not notice it. I read a study, I think it was a Deloitte study, that looked at some of the biggest trends. And the biggest trends included things like the metaverse, AI, yeah. And then the third one was personalization. So personalization is up there along with the metaverse and AI in terms of a trend that, businesses are looking at exploring. And I also read that apparently 90% profitability increases when you personalize content. How many times have you gone and met a client and then you've left and then days, weeks, months have gone by and it's gone quiet, right? Why not send them a personalized video? Why not just pick up your phone? We're in an era where everyone's phones have great cameras. Pick up your phone and literally just sort of, hey, it was great to meet you. I'd love to touch base. I'd love to catch up and see what happened with that proposal. And I think just sending a video gives a very different feeling to that prospect. So I think that's one opportunity. Second, how many times have you written a proposal? I'm in the world where I get RFPs a lot. And RFPs are these complicated documents where you have to explain everything you hope to do in a project. And then you send them by email and hope to God that they get understood and they get received and explained the way that you anticipated. Why not create a video? Why not personalize that and say, hey, I'd really want to explain to you what I'm presenting to you in this RFP in my proposal, and talk them through it, talk them through page by page. Imagine the possible conversion and how that's going to increase when your customer is being talked through the document by you, as opposed to just receiving a random email in your inbox. On a serious note, if someone sends me minutes, am I going to sit and read all of this? Versus if they send me a video and it's personal, now I'm sitting there going, oh, this person's made some effort. I'm going to pay attention. Even, aid greetings. I am so sick to death. I appreciate them. I appreciate everyone who sends me a lovely designed company happy aid greeting. But you're part of a weird broadcast list where it's been sent to the planet and there's nothing personal about that at all, right? I know it takes a bit of extra effort, But sending a video message where you go, "So I want to wish you a very happy Eid. Look forward to celebrating with you in the weeks and months to come." That is entirely different to getting like this cookie cutter designed, image that everyone's getting. I actually don't send any greeting emails or messages to anyone because I really genuinely feel there's nothing personal about it. I appreciate the people who send them to me, but as an experience, I don't think it's a personal experience. But even go as far, we had an iftar last year, and to be honest, I didn't do many. I just knew we were inviting different groups of people. So I did different personalized messages for the group, or let's say if it's an organization or if they're suppliers. So I had like one message that went to our suppliers and a different video that went to our customers and a different one that went to some of our guests, like from the TV world, a different one. So they were very slightly altered and I just recorded them back to back, but for the person receiving them, it's like, wow, they felt like I'd gone to such a huge effort to make it feel personal for them. I'm a very big believer in just making things as personal as possible when you're working with people. Anyone who follows me knows I do a lot on my phone. So yes, I do have those tools and resources, and that definitely makes a difference when you're, producing content on a professional level. But I think everything we're discussing right now can be done on a mobile phone that anybody can do. And that's a different challenge. It's like people overcoming that hurdle and that fear and realizing that, it's personal, it's authentic. It doesn't matter if it's well produced or polished. It's about that personal touch and that message that you're sharing. Do you know who's an absolute expert? She's someone in the branding space in Dubai. Do you know Lucy Bradley? Lucy Bradley, her branding agency, Plug, honestly, I've known her for over 10 years and she's constantly hand delivering, hand making, invites, letters, very creative content. I think one year I got like literally, a calendar, a handmade calendar that was personalized. And yes, effort is there, but it makes such a big difference when you receive that package and you see it, a tangible item. It goes a long way. And that's what I actually remember her for now. I remember her more. I'm more likely to work with her or refer her because I've seen her creativity in action through her personalization. I'm not a full fan of, the quality of some of the content that comes out of, some of the AI software. But just to give you an example, like I've seen some video softwares which, they learn how to replicate your voice. So that, if I need to churn out 100 videos that, welcome a customer to my program, it's by literally feeding it the names, it will replace the name in my voice, right? So effectively, I'm only actually filming that video once, and then the software is replacing the name, and that's allowing it to be more personalized and has that feeling. Or similarly, you could go a bit further and not just the name, but the name and the industry, or maybe the color scheme, or just making things feel like they really are catered to that individual. In summary, whether you're going the digital marketing road, whether it's the content marketing road, or even it's neither, whether you just go back to basics and look at traditional methods, personalization is here to stay. Not just here to stay, it could be the game changer to build relationships with your customers, your suppliers, your network, and really see big results. So the minute you see your name, oh, this is for me, it's not generic anymore. So I think it's really looking at all of the opportunities to make an experience feel personal. We do something in our office where we put someone's name on the door when they arrive. But you'd be so surprised the number of people who just feel really touched. They see their name, like, oh my God, they're expecting me. And then they take a photo and they post it. And that's like the moment, So it's not what happens inside the office. It's not that. It's literally the door, which they're taking photos of.